Hey everyone, welcome to the Cozy Camp Journal. I'm Chad, and we are currently deep in the rebuild of this 19-foot off-grid camper. When you're building a base camp, every square inch and every pound matters. Today we're making a decision that scares a lot of traditional RV movers. You know, it's kind of funny. RVers are not mooers because mooers would be considered cows. So therefore, no. But they do go moo. Today we're making the decision that scares a lot of traditional RVers. We are deleting the black tank. No more sewage, no more stink soup, and no more tethered to a dump station. I'm going to walk you through the 3 technical reasons why composting toilet is a superior choice for a serious off-grid rig build, and how it actually changes the architecture of this entire camper. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's start by talking about the standard RV setup. What is it? It has 3 tanks. Do you guys know what they are? They are black tank, freshwater tank, and a gray tank. All 3 of them use purposeful options, but the biggest thing is it's a closed loop system that relies on water to move waste, which is ridiculous because based on that, it's not a bad situation. But water is extremely heavy, 8.3 pounds per gallon. That's not light. If you have a 30 gallon black tank, that's 250 pounds of just sewage hanging off the back part of your bumper or another area that's associated with your frame, which on a 1970s camper rig, especially being off-grid, that is a lot of weight. And that's definitely the reason why we are removing this. But by going to a composting system, I'm actually running a dry system. I'm removing the need for fresh water flush, which means my fresh water lasts 30% longer. That is a huge increase, 30% longer. I'm also removing the plumbing lines, the vent stacks, and anything that's associated with that, because what does that do? That actually causes smells. And I'll get into that here in just a second. And so now with the gate valves gone and everything like that, that actually eventually leaks, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And especially with me and my position as an old maintenance technician and almost a mechanic a couple times, and with my DIY experience in rebuilding vehicles and understanding vehicle processes, my rule is if the part isn't there, it can't break. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Elephant in the room. Anyway, that's enough of that. People ask, doesn't it smell like a sewage plant or a porta potty? Actually, that's the opposite is actually true. A porta potty smells because you are mixing liquids and solids into a chemical cocktail, which that's gross. Chemical cocktail. That's where the methane comes from. A composting toilet, like the one we're actually getting ready to install, separates the liquids from the solids. Without moisture, the solids don't smell, they just dehydrate and turn into compost, which we're going to install a small low DC fan and also a vent pipe, because some of them do require a vent pipe, but it's always a beneficial to providing that. So what it does is actually creates a constant negative pressure, venting any tiny bit of moisture outside so it doesn't ruin any of the camper walls. It ends up smelling like wood chips and or peat moss, depending on how you use it. And you can also base scents and stuff you can use. It's cleaner and it works better than a traditional bathroom because you aren't carrying around 30 gallons of yesterday's lunch under your bed. That's pretty nasty. And the thing is, 90% of the time, you're not actually under the bed. A lot of times it's on the other side of the camper. But even then, you still get the theory and the point I'm making. Now, Here's the part most people don't realize. When you rip out a black tank, you actually get back a massive amount of real estate underneath the rig. Because you are going with an off-grid build, especially with what I am doing, I need room for my lithium battery bank and my solar components. And in this 19-foot space, it is a premium. It's necessary for that because we don't have extra space throughout the camper. By deleting the sewage tank, I can now mount any electrical system or extra storage in a low protected area between the frame rails, which actually lowers the center of gravity and makes the rig tow much, much easier. And in the Cozy Camp Journal, we focus on multiple use space. If a tank only does one thing, hold waste, it's a waste of space. If I can use that area for power or tools, the rig becomes much more capable. Yes, a high quality composting toilet is a very expensive investment. But is it a problem? No, because it's an investment. Key word, investment. Investment. Usually more than a cheaper plastic toilet, and especially RV toilets, because they're becoming more and more plastic. They're not metal, or, well, you wouldn't want a metal toilet because then you'd feel like you were in a jail cell. Ugh, that wouldn't be very fun. But let's look at the actual long-term math associated with this. No more $15 dump station fees, no more specialized RV toilet paper, even though it's not a huge necessity anymore because RV toilet paper is getting better. I wouldn't say better, but they do compost better. And then no more black tank flush chemicals, which actually saves environmental waste. It helps. Most importantly, I don't have to worry about a $2,000 bill if it cracks because of freeze, or there's an issue because something happens with, the water tank where you're going in, and all of a sudden what happens is it's too full, and then it comes up in the toilet and then floods your whole back end of your camper. That's just worse. That's just the worst thing in the world. For the build your base camp philosophy, we want a system that is actually bulletproof, and composting is as bulletproof as it gets. Think about it. So the black tank is officially gone. It's been gone for a while. Next on the list for this build is the exterior. I'm moving away from the old 1970s J model trim and going into an L-shaped modern vinyl insert trim that's aluminum. It's going to make this thing look like a custom build, and more importantly, it's going to keep the water out. Keywords. 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 Wait, is there an echo in here? If you want a full breakdown on the trim upgrade, or if you want to see how we're fitting a semi-truck mini split system in this 19-foot camper, make sure you follow the Cozy Camp Journal and check out hundreds of videos that are associated with family outings and going to see monster trucks and other things associated with this build. I'm doing a live Q&A over at our school community at skool.com, SKOOL, every week from here on out, to give people an opportunity to ask about off-grid plumbing, off-grid camping, anything that's associated with camper builds, and opportunities for some 12-volt upgrades with lithium as well as power banks. Otherwise, drop a comment below. Are you team black tank or are you team composting? I'll see you in the next one. If you liked that video, check out the Cozy Camp Journal, where we have hundreds of videos just like this one. If you want to see our newest adventures, from the shop to the woods, make sure you click subscribe and hit that bell button so you never miss a notification. We'll see you on the next project.